early, but that's okay. My gym workout was phenomenal. Before I went home, I decided to stop over at my mother's house. I haven't seen my mother in 2 months. I know she's going to be very surprised to see me. I can't wait. What the? I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The first thing I noticed was this person's skin. What is going on? Uncomplicated, untreated skin? Who is this guy? I had to take a step back, but then I realized it was my brother. But look at his skin. Have you guys ever seen anything like that? I had to take a closer look and figure out what was going on. Best believe I crept up on him. Peep this. I'm still looking at his skin, trying to figure out how did we get here. I could do nothing but shake my head. He could definitely use my help. I had to get to the bottom of this. He definitely needed some game about his skin. I'm just staring at it, like looking at it. Come on, bro. I knew what to do. I had to reach in my bag and get that Tiege Hanley. Uncomplicated skincare for men. Bro, this is why I'm excited to have Tiege Hanley as a sponsor of today's video. They have helped me start and maintain my skincare routine by making the entire process uncomplicated. Honestly, it's the best skincare system for guys like you and me. I recommend you start with their level 1 system, which comes with all the basics. A daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and the grime on your skin, a 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells, an AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. My brother was so excited. My favorite part about Tiege Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really make the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin easy. Shout out to Tiege Hanley. And because Tiege Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers a great deal. Just click the first link in the description, and not only will you get Tiege Hanley for the best possible price, but they'll also give you a free gift with your first box. Click that link and get started today for just $30. Feel the Tiege. Let the Tiege force be with you.
Right, family, feel the Tiege. It's go time. What's going on, family? Welcome to Lapeef-ing Sundays. Let me go ahead and introduce the crew. We got Jay, a story to tell. Penny, Pink in the Basement, Angie Soul, Allison Cole, Chanel, Big Clout Jones, Sugar Curls, Luis, and me, myself. I'm Lapeef Jr. Welcome to Lapeef-ing Sundays on the greatest network ever, the Lapeef Network. What's going on, family? How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Doing well, doing well.
Happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday as well.
Good Sunday, black people. Good Sunday.
We're ready to cook up some things downstairs.
What's on the menu, Sugar Girls?
That's what I'm talking about.
My husband's barbecuing, so
Yeah.
beans, sausage, everything.
Okay. Hey, do you need some red snapper?
Yes, please.
I know somebody who can cook a red snapper. Ain't that right, Miss Balance?
All right, Balance, come through. I love your braids, by the way.
Thank you, lovely. Happy Sunday, guys.
Happy Sunday. What y'all do this weekend?
Work.
Anybody skydive? Anybody jump out of a plane?
Yeah.
I saw Boys to Men perform.
I would never do that again.
That sounds like a light brag right there. Is that what you did, Jay?
All safe activities that don't require near death experiences.
That experience
Carl
is
Jones, you said you
we had
saw.
a family reunion this weekend, so that
Yeah, I saw Boys to Men perform. That was pretty cool.
They were
Was it the
all
whole
there.
group or just the three?
No, it was 3 of them.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
oh, that's cool.
Penny, you say you skydived?
yeah. I hated it. It was the worst experience.
Why?
Did you shit yourself?
I just don't think it was something that like I'm good with like roller coasters, but like flipping, tumbling, it just made me sick. And I just think it's something that should only happen in like a life or death experience, like somebody coming to save you or something of that nature.
So
Just
did you
like
shit
getting on
yourself?
that damn submarine.
No. Did you shit on yourself?
No, but once we hit the ground, I was just like in tunnel vision. I was just I was just happy to be on ground.
I know that's right.
Yeah. And I'm an adventurous person, so I don't know why it just wasn't for me.
No.
There are some things on my anti-bucket list, and that is definitely working on a plane. I don't see the need to jump out of one.
Maybe if we jumped out and went straight down, it would have been okay. But we jumped out and we tumbled, and I couldn't breathe. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I don't know.
So you were doing tricks in the air.
Yeah, we were tumbling. So
Want to start doing a bunch of stuff you don't do on land for no reason. It's crazy.
yeah.
All right, well, it's good to see you guys. Glad everybody's weekend was good. Let's see who we got in the chat. We got Erica in the chat, Joe Lee, Average, Manosphere. I see Cloud is in the chat as well. Cloud always in the chat. Cloud, that seems to be your area right there, man. You seem to be most comfortable. You be responding to people. That's what you call it.
Yo, Clout is an official chat banger, man. He's always in the chat.
Yeah. And then the minute somebody say something, he start talking that ish, don't he?
I'm on their hand. I'm at them.
Shout out to all the Green Gang. If you want to become part of Green Gang, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. Shout out to the sponsor, Teach Handling Uncomplicated Skincare for Men. 30% off along with a free gift. So y'all make sure y'all go ahead and fill a Teach. Get that Teach pack. Again, that link is in the description. Hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the dislike button if you, for some reason, we ain't even started yet, but you don't like us. Feel free to hit that as well. If you, we got 3 topics today. So, and there's some excellent topics. Someone may need to hear this. The main topic is a lot of mothers keep kids coming back to them. Fathers build families. So that's going to be a great discussion. I look forward to that. So go ahead and share the stream. Let's get people over here so we can have this dialogue. Y'all ready? We did have somebody up.
Yes, sir.
King says 199. I love seeing black women out of costume. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I know black women. Y'all wear costumes?
I don't quite understand the comment.
It means not wearing no makeup.
Oh, okay.
Most women wear makeup, so I don't know.
Well, the whole get up, extensions, lash.
Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not too much of it because I think a lot of women wear things to kind of highlight them, but when you're doing a lot of it, I think that's when it becomes a costume. Because then when you take it off, it's like you don't like the same person. So
bingo, that's what it is. I think a costume is when you're hiding who you are.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive into our first topic of the night. Hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Our first topic of this afternoon is relationships with real connection and true love. Go ahead and play this clip.
Relationships that involve connection and true love are typically hard. Not because relationships have to be hard, but because most people have been hurt by something in their life, are holding on to past traumas, haven't resolved it. Once they meet this individual that they feel so strongly about, it is scary. This is where things get difficult. It's the difficultness in how do I handle this? How do I manage this? You'll have people feel like they're losing themselves, but they're not losing themselves. Their true self is coming out. And it's the self that's been hiding behind that wall they've been using for quote unquote protection.
I like to play it back sometime because some people don't be
Most
listening.
relationships that involve connection and true love are typically hard. Not because relationships have to be hard, but because most people have been hurt by something in their life, are holding on to past traumas, haven't resolved it. Once they meet this individual that they feel so strongly about, it is scary. This is where things get difficult. It's the difficultness in how do I handle this? How do I manage this? You'll have people feel like they're losing themselves, but they're not losing themselves. Their true self is coming out. And it's the self that's been hiding behind that wall they've been using for quote unquote protection.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into relationships with real connection and true love. I'm gonna go ahead and we'll go to you first, Luis. What are your thoughts about it?
I agree with him. I think that people who unfortunately don't resolve past issues or past traumas, you know what I'm saying, they kind of carry those things over. But I think it's an amazing feeling in a euphoric experience to come across somebody who you really align with, who you really have a true connection. And at first you'll be a little bit shell shocked, and then slowly as time goes on, those conversations about interest, those things that you just kind of have, those aha moments, those really genuine spirited connections that you really talk about things on a deeper level that go beyond the surface. It becomes a little bit scary because you're like, wow, I can't believe that I really resonate with this person a lot on so many levels. And you know what I'm saying, I feel myself gravitating to them more and more and more the time that we have conversations and the time that we spent in the same space, that it might feel scary because you don't know where, like, how it might lead, because unfortunately sometimes some of the things in the past that had that same similar feeling, right? They're like, oh, I recognize this feeling before, right? And how it ended. But unfortunately, that new feeling or that new connection with somebody else is an amazing experience. But unfortunately, if you don't resolve any past issues and you created so many walls and barriers, you won't allow yourself to embrace that. And yes, naturally, who you really are, you know what I'm saying, how you feel around that person, because the way you are around that new person, because of the way you have conversations about certain things, you're just naturally going to be a lot more expressive, and you're going to open up about a lot more things. But people tend to be very careful and slowly allowing certain layers about them because they're afraid of being hurt. They're afraid of repeating the past experiences that they've gone through. But yeah, I think it's a steady, slow process with that. How are you?
All right, I'm gonna go to your Sugar Curls. What are your thoughts about it?
Yes, I was thinking that the sentiment the gentleman expressed is very true, because a lot of times when we go through trauma or bad relationships in the past, we actually start to form a distrust, not just for people and relationships, but for ourselves. A lot of times what happens is little voices start to tell us things like, okay, I went through this experience, so I must be unworthy. I went through this experience, so I must not be good enough to be loved. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough to meet this qualification. So when we do run into someone who is trustworthy, who can protect us, or for a man, we run into a woman who has those qualities that are loving and nurturing, and we get into that relationship, we feel the realness of true love, we are scared because that nervous system activation we had before is actually still there, and it activates. And then we have to challenge our thoughts. We have to challenge our feelings and say, wait a minute, is this the same situation as before? Or is this something good and healthy? Okay, no, this is good and healthy. I can move forward. I am worthy. I am a good person. I am smart. And so that is a beautiful thing. We can actually experience that. But it does take a lot of truthfulness and work on our own part. We have to be truthful with ourselves and also think, how did I contribute to these past experiences? Because sometimes we are the ones that actually contributed to where we are today and why we can't have good relationships. So it's a beautiful thing to experience that true love and trust.
Do you think that people tend to self-sabotage themselves early on without even allowing themselves the opportunity to actually be in the mix?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it happens a lot. But I do think that, as I stated, being honest with ourselves as to how we may have contributed to anything we've gone through and not just put 100% blame on the other person or the experience. Also, our perspective as well. Sometimes it's not just about what we've done, but how we perceive what has been done makes a difference too.
All right. Balance. What are your thoughts about it? Relationship with real connections and true love.
I like what Sugar Curls just said. She made a lot of valid points. I think it all definitely comes down to self-sabotage because I had an experience like this actually personally. When I did it to someone and when someone did it to me. So I'm going to share the part where someone did it to me just because because I was courting with this man and he would say things like, wow, this is the healthiest situation I've ever seen, blah, blah, blah. But then he started self-sabotaging. Like he started calling all the time. He started saying that I was lying about places I was going. He started just making up things that wasn't true. Like he had to have a problem. It was never a problem, but he would make things a problem because he just couldn't believe that things were healthy. And he sabotaged it because I just couldn't take it. I tried in the beginning. I'm like, maybe I could work with him, but it didn't work. So yeah, I mean, people self-sabotage. That's why I always talk about counseling and therapy. People need to go to therapy. You got to do that self-healing before you get out there and try to interact with people and form relationships. You got to work on yourself. And then when you do, you attract a whole different type of person anyway. Because unhealthy people attract unhealthy people. And they're toxic together. Healthy people attract healthy people. So yeah, it's a lesson I had to learn myself.
All right. Brother Hank, what are your thoughts about it, sir?
I mean, I can agree with so far what everybody said so far. I mean, but yeah, that's definitely a great advice, balance about therapy, because that's what I had to do in order for me to even get back in the idea, the mind frame to get married again. It was on the order going to therapy to get comfortable enough, to feel at ease enough. And even though all the stuff I went through doing the divorce and the separation and all that good stuff, I had to definitely have some type of counsel in order to get my mind frame to be even open to do that. So definitely I agree with that. Now, as far as the other part, I don't know if it cut off on my end or that's just where the video ended, JR. I don't know.
Yeah, that's when the video ended.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's so. I'm done then. I thought I had some more that I just may have missed or something. I'm sorry.
Nah, you all good. Any, what are your thoughts about it, ma'am? She might be frozen.
I definitely agree with Sugar Crow said. Can you hear me? Oh, good. Oh, okay. I definitely agree with Sugar Curls stated. Being in a different relationship, it is scary. And I think I want to say it comes from like your past relationship. And when you get something different, something new, and it makes you rethink the way that you thought about your past relationships. I know my new relationship is so different from my past relationships that I forgot what love is supposed to feel like, that I had to go to my mom and my aunties and say, what is it supposed to feel like? What is it supposed to look like? Because the things that I thought it looked like was not what I have now, but it was things that I feel like I should have, or feelings that I feel like I should feel, but I never felt before. So it was different. So I thought maybe it wasn't real. So I think that's when the self-sabotaging comes into play, when it's different and you're not really sure if it's supposed to be that way. if it's supposed to feel good, like you just start doubting yourself about it. And so you have to go back and say, okay, what is it supposed to feel like? And just try to get information from people who actually experienced that in the past. So I think it's definitely scary.
All right, Jay, what are your thoughts about it, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I think it definitely is scary, especially to have had it and lost it. You know, like Hank was saying, as far as getting in the mind state of it. Because for one, when you feel it, you know, depending on your mind state, you're like, yeah, this is too good to be true. You know what I mean? Eventually it's gonna veer off left, you know, kind of how Balance was explaining. It sounds like, you know, the guy just felt like it was too good to be true and had psyched himself into thinking like, yeah, there's something else going on, instead of like communicating like, yo, this is, I don't believe that we are this, you know, synced up, and I'm scared. You know, a guy probably would never say that, but communicating, he should have said that, because then you could work with that rather than to be blowing your phone up, you know. But most men, we're not handling it that way, especially if we're not, you know, haven't been to therapy or haven't healed, you know. So like Hank was explaining about your mind state, you have to be able to receive that stuff. You know, you could pray for everything in the world, but if you're not mentally able to receive it and in the position to execute when you do receive it, it's not gonna you're gonna lose it again, you know. So I'm trying to cycle in my head or think of times when I've had it, and you know, it's a great thing, man, especially to be able to be 100% yourself, you know, 100% your greatest and 100% your worst, you know, and still be loved all the same. You know what I mean? It's a good feeling. So when you lose it, it definitely discourages you, and you have to be in the mind state to be able to identify it when and if it comes back around.
All right, Chanel, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, first off, it's so refreshing hearing men talk about this. I think sometimes on YouTube, at least for me, I see a lot of men saying love is second, or that doesn't matter. It's all about just service to one another. And even though that is true, love is important too. And I'm just, you know, happy to hear that from you gentlemen. For me, when I first met my husband, I was very skeptical. I'm like, okay, he's too good to be true. Something is definitely wrong. I'm going to find out. I don't know what it is, but I'll find out. And, you know, as I was like talking to my mom and talking to other people who are currently married, they were just telling me you need to sit back, relax, enjoy the journey, and keep praying. And I think that actually helped me to not psych myself out or self-sabotage, because sometimes we see human factors as red flags, and it's like, no, he's just a person. And I think we have to give grace to the people that we love. Also, I would love to say that premarital counseling is so important, and I think, and I wish more people did it, because I think that builds relationships even more, especially if you're trying to get married. I think getting closer to God is, as well as keeps you guys together, but especially getting premarital counseling from a pastor or someone you trust can really solidify your bond before taking the big step.
All right. Angie Soul, what are your thoughts, ma'am?
Well, I agree with everyone. Very valid points. When you leave a relationship that has been broken or trauma filled, it's very easy to create a narrative in your head that all men are alike. It's very easy to create the narrative that you'll never receive a relationship that is better than what you've experienced, especially if you've been tied to that for a long time, a long-term relationship. Self-sabotage definitely is a factor. I've been guilty of it. I think it takes a very high level of awareness to see how you're sabotaging it, as well as the things that you have to work within yourself to remove that narrative out of your head. And it does take trust. It does take believing that, you know, love does exist, that you are worthy of receiving that love, that not everyone is going to hurt you in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, definitely a scary experience. But if you remember to stay open and remember that not every person is alike, everybody has their own experiences and it comes with their own traits, then you can move past that.
Wow. That was all interesting, man. You guys were being fully transparent this early afternoon.
I have a question. You know, how far into it do you go until you decide to kind of step back when you realize that although you might have a connection or there's like some sort of bond, you do realize that there are a lot of barriers for that person to either open up to you or either be vulnerable enough to talk about difficulties. I know for the example that Balance had brought up, right? You know, it seemed like everything was great and perfect, but I guess they were probably trying to like push the boundaries per se to kind of see if like is this really like they're not trying to psych themselves out, right? Like how far does one really go before they realize that, you know, it's you got to call it quits? Because like sometimes like once you have that connection you feel like hold it, but there's like so many other red flags because you understand that although you might be compatible with that person is just not in that right season at the moment. And sort of do you work with them through that or do you honestly just let them go? And obviously we're much more wiser individuals because we've been through these types of relationships, but for other younger people who are seeing this and realizing that they might be caught up in this type of web, how to navigate that.
If I had to answer that question, I would probably say it's all situational. If it's something that's really early on and you're already seeing that, then maybe you guys just meant to be friends. Every time you hop into a relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be romantic. Also, too, some people lose connection or there's something that comes in between, even when you guys have made progress. So you could probably be 2 or 3 months in, and then that connection appears to be like you guys are fighting, or it seems to be like a lot of things going on. So then you have to assess the situation, maybe get to the bottom of it if you guys were working towards marriage or you got 3 or 4 months in. So it is situational. Sometimes it may be where somebody messed up and then there's a trust issue and you have to try to get through that and you have to process through that, and it may work, it may not work. So it's always situational. If it's still early on, then it's easier to just kind of separate yourself from it.
And I also want to add, I think it's about how receptive that person is to change. Because some people, if you could talk to them and you could work through things and they could grow and develop in those areas and they're willing to get help outside of themselves, you could work with that. I think you could work with that. But if you have somebody that's just stoic, they're not willing, it's like they have a wall up, they don't want to change anything, I feel like it's like you're talking to the wall. It's pointless. So, I mean, I feel like in that situation, I would give 3 chances. If they're not willing to change anything, I'm going to move on. I'm not going to waste my time. But if every time I talk to them about it, they're willing to change, they're willing to get counseling, they're willing to work on it, they're receptive, we can work through that. But, you know, those are 2 different courses. So it depends on the person, really. That's my thought.
You're on mute, JR.
So anybody else want to answer Luis's question? Oh, okay.
I mean, for me, I think it takes a certain level of discernment. It's all situational, as everybody mentioned. How receptive are they to change? How's the accountability of certain factors they do need to change? Because if you have someone who thinks there's nothing wrong with them, it's just not going to work, even if you see it as red flags in your relationship. So for me, I'm a child of God. I'm going to pray it out, and I'm going to use a certain level of discernment to see if that is something I want to move forward with or not.
So I know I know. Thank you for that, Angie. I appreciate that. I know we talk about, you know what I'm saying, working through it and, you know, having discernment and all that. But I'm curious to know, has anybody ever, I'm getting a massive echo. I'm curious to know if anybody has ever like master mapped or planned out what that looks like and how they're both going to tackle it together. Like, yes, I'm willing to work with you if you're willing to change, and this is how we're going to do it and iron out a roadmap. Like, first and foremost, I need you to find a therapist. You know what I'm saying? I need you to, contact your your doctor, what I'm saying, go through your medical coverage. We're gonna sit down and look at it. What type of medical coverage do you have? You know what I'm saying? What options do you have, right? And then we're gonna look at a list and you're going to pick one. And then, we're gonna set up a schedule, once a week, twice a week, once every other week, whatever is convenient for you. That's step one. And then step two is I need you to work on these other factors. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna sit down once a week at the end of the week and check in with each other. You know what I'm saying? We have dinner, sit down and talk about our week. What are the challenges that you face? What are the challenges that you face communicating with me or I had with you? You know what I'm saying? And how we're going to correct that and move forward. You know what I'm saying? And if you're having issues communicating, what are other things that you could do or work on or even attend to kind of work through those hurdles? I'm always curious about the masterminding process because I know we say it, but like sometimes people hear it and they're like, okay, but like, where do I start? What's the starting point, right? And then just kind of take off from there. But a lot of people just don't know how to get to the starting line before even taking off.
I think
I mean, Luis, go ahead, Shana.
Really quick, if this is a new relationship, sorry if this sounds harsh, but I think you need to break it off at that point. I think perhaps that person needs to do that on their own. That sounds like something that you can't cape for, and the person could be well-meaning, but I think that person would need to have help on their own without you, and then maybe another time you guys can have a relationship. But to me, that sounds way too much work for a budding relationship.
Yeah, I think, like JR said, I think you are supportive, but you take a background role. Like, clearly you're not ready for a relationship. You need to work some things out, but we still keep a line of communication. I mean, if we hang out from time to time, that's cool. But what it sounds like you have, Luis, is a plan for someone you're in a relationship with, like in an active, been in for a year or more relationship with, and you're trying to come up with a game plan. But like she said, a budding relationship, nah, I don't think you might try to micromanage that to that degree.
But we say this. I don't think it's that extreme. Not really.
Yeah.
Because as a man, all what I'm investing in, and I'm going to be investing in, as far as financially, mentally, and physically, why not? Now it's extreme to us because as a black community, we wouldn't dare do like that. That sounds like too much goddamn hard work, and we lazy than motherfucker. Whether we want to admit it or not, we're not willing to work that hard, but we should be willing to do that, and maybe we would have more successful relationship. Maybe we would have more successful, not only relationship, but just marriage and a community as a whole, if we was to do what Luis just gave an example of. So I don't disagree with what Luis said. I don't do it to that extreme, per se, but I do it now. Me, my lady talked about on premarital counseling. We talked about what church we're looking to go to, what we both feel comfortable going to, and the the day, whatever the service is, the time and all that. We broke down all of that, finance, everything. So we talk about a lot of that for the most part. Now, like I said, not to the extreme of what Luis broke it down to, about having meetings and all of that. No, but we still have our conversations. We still talk about it. We still talk about what's the plan is, what's going to do. This is how we're still going to move. Nothing's changed. This is how we're going to do it. So I don't have no problem with it, but this is my opinion.
I agree with Hank. I think nowadays when the first red flag comes about, people are first to say, you're not healed or you got work to do. I've heard, this situation before and it's not going to pan out good nowadays. I think it depends on, I think Balancing Code said, whether that person is willing to work on it or not. I know in one of my relationships when we were like 3 months in and I lost my job, and it was a difficult time. And if someone would have, just banked out or said, I'm not going to deal with her at this time, this hard time in her life, I wouldn't have considered them even when I, got myself together. So I think being willing to work it through with someone in the beginning, it will show that person is there for the long run. I think as long as it's not like affecting you negatively, or if it's not hurting you in any way, I think being there to help that person through it, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I'm not sure if I misunderstood, but I thought from what Luis was saying was this person had issues, meaning maybe trust issues or something along those lines. I definitely agree with you, Penny. Like, losing your job in the midst of a new relationship, I don't think you should break up with someone or someone should break up with you during that time. But if someone has personality issues or something like that needs to be addressed with a psychologist, I do think it's best to handle that in your single season, because that is something that you have to do alone before entering a relationship, especially if you're trying to get into the next chapter in life. But I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I think the problem with that, Chanel, is that, like we were saying on the last show or the previous show, people are trying to diagnose people with things. And so when something comes up different, you think that person has a problem. You say, okay, you need to get help. And they don't even know that that's what that person has, if they have a problem or not. So I think once people finally, first get that sign that a person is different or I do have a problem, they're willing to give it up.
I just wanted to add too that I think people have to understand that it's a process to get to the root. Like, a lot of people are self-aware about themselves, but I believe there's something that you may not be aware of about yourself, no matter how self-aware you are. And you may not be able to identify it because you've been this person your entire life. I think how you receive criticism is important too, and also how you deliver to a certain degree. So if you have someone that you are dating, y'all been dating for a while, how do you guys receive criticism? Criticism is not bad. Sometimes you just may not be aware. You may think you need to go to somebody else because you don't trust it. It comes down to trust. You don't trust what they're saying about you. But if you go to therapy, they'll tell you the same exact thing. It's the person is looking like, I've been telling you that from jump, but they didn't trust you. So you couldn't really, they wasn't trying to receive it well. So I just think that it's important in these relationships for us to be able to digest what they're saying. Actually take a listen. Don't be so defensive. Don't be so quick that you don't know what you're talking about because everything else. Sometimes if enough people are telling you, you have to look at it. I had enough people tell me about my tone, and I've said this on previous shows that my tone is okay to me. But I've had enough people tell me sometimes you can come off as being aggressive, or it seems like your delivery is a little bit angry. And I try to tone myself a little bit. I try to police my tone, but I still don't see it. To me, I'm delivering it regular. But I do like the fact that I'm able to accept what most people are saying. Because if most people are saying it, then logic would tell you that it's probably happening and I may not realize it. And I don't think a lot of people look at these situations from a logical perspective. You have to be real and you have to understand that we are all humans. We are all flawed. So there are people that see things about us that we don't realize or we see ourselves.
Well, another thing is, I know somebody said you got to do it on your own. That's the worst thing. If somebody needs help, the worst thing they can do is by themselves. Because now they feel like, why do I need to do it if I'm going to do it all by myself? And I feel like they don't feel like they have nobody to do it for. So the worst thing is to do is allow somebody to try to fix themselves by themselves. To me, that's not good.
Can I add something?
Sure.
So the points brought up were very interesting because I've seen many different relationship situations where one or more are actually going through something, a process, as JR mentioned. They have something they're healing from. And it's going to take that person probably 10 years or 5 years because the healing is not the process. The healing is the process. I'm sorry. And to be quite honest, because we're imperfect, we can only get to a certain percentage of healing anyways. So kind of to y'all's point about each relationship, we have to assess that, right? Is when I examine this person, is what they're going through accessible and enough for me to handle as they go through their process? Or is it a real red flag that can be harmful to the relationship and to the detriment of myself? I think those are two totally different things, because we are not perfect. But we do have to be honest with ourselves, because I may meet someone and say, you know what, this I can't handle this. I really like you, but this right here, I can't handle. But it may be different with another person. You know what? I see your struggle. You check all the other boxes, whatever, 1 through 12. This one thing you're imperfect with, it's a process. I'm willing to go on that journey with you. I'm willing to be your support. Because as Hank mentioned, I'm going to tell you something about supporting one another. We cannot heal without love. We cannot. I don't care how many therapists you see, how many books you read. If we don't have true love from someone, it's going to be almost impossible to do that, to heal properly.
And I want to say, I feel what you're saying, Sugar Curls, but self-love, you got to learn how to love yourself. And I mean, you don't have to be in a relationship to heal. I think you can heal on your own, but you can use your family. You can use your friends. You can use a counselor in therapy. You don't have to be with someone romantically. I'm not saying you said that, but you don't have to be with someone romantically to heal. You should take that time for yourself and not be with anyone romantically, and use your family and friends and support systems around to heal. But love yourself first. Once you learn how to love yourself, then you can have somebody else love you. But self-love is the best love. That's what I say all the time. So I'm just adding that on.
I completely agree with what Balance and Coach was just saying. I think it's important, like, to be able to heal with someone, but a strong part of me feels as though, like, if you need to heal, then you don't need to be in a relationship. Like I feel like if you're at a point where you're still healing, then what you're really experiencing is incompatibility. Like, I think a lot of times two people get together and you know, they look at the person across from them and they say, oh, you need to heal from this. And the other person saying, well, you need to heal from that. And everyone loves talking about healing and mental health, but sometimes people are just not compatible, and it has nothing to do with healing. And the reason why both of them need to heal is because literally it's like trying to force a square peg into a round hole. The pain that you're experiencing is coming from the fact that this doesn't work. And that's just all it is. So, like, I think in the video, he talked about, like, changing yourself. I think, Stefan, he talked about changing yourself. And like, he's saying how it's not actually like a change. It's your actual self coming out. And I kind of agree with that. I feel like once you're in a relationship and you're thinking of changing and the other person is trying to change you, y'all are just not compatible. Because when y'all work together and y'all are meant for one another and you guys are in sync, nothing needs to change. For example, if I have a temper issue and I got a woman who's very soft-spoken and knows how to deal with temper issues, there's nothing about me that needs to change. I don't need to change my temper issue. I'm with a woman who understands how to deal with my temper. So people just need to be with people they're compatible with, instead of trying to change and adjust and heal their way into making relationships work.
If you got a temper issue and she's soft-spoken, that's gonna be a problem, dog. Because that temper issue can cause let me finish. That temper issue could cause you a conflict in a situation don't need to be a conflict in. You understand what I'm saying? We going to a club, they looking at your woman, you got an attitude, you feeling some type of way, you getting mad, frustrated. She can't even calm you down because, you know, she's been okay with it.
But I'm saying the opposite of that, Hank. Like, I don't know if any of y'all ever watched The Honeymooners, right? But if y'all watch The Honeymooners, then you know the main character, Ralph. He had a temper, like. But Alice, his wife, she was a slick talker too. She was a little sarcastic. She knew how to talk to him, like, you know what I mean. So maybe if he was another woman, when he said, "Alice, straight," maybe that woman would have started crying, thinking he's really gonna hit her. When Alice would just be like, "Man, whatever, Frank, you ain't about to do nothing, man. Just sit down. Dinner's gonna be ready in an hour." Like, you got to be with someone that's compatible with you. a lot of times we start thinking that our personality traits, like there's something wrong with our personality traits just because we're with people that are just not meant to be with us. Like maybe I'm supposed to be an angry person. You know, maybe I was in the military and maybe that's just my style of communication. Is I'm a little angry. And maybe I'm with a woman who knows how to deal with that. So my anger is not a problem for her, but it might be a problem for another woman. Maybe she might be a little bit clumsy or whatever the case is, or a little bit lazy in certain ways. But I'm super hardworking, so it's not a problem for me. But for another man, it might be a big problem. So you just gotta be with someone that's compatible with you. That way you don't have to like try to heal yourself or change yourself into another person just to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this too. Big Cloud Jones. There are people who are very passionate. You know what I'm saying? Who speak in a very passionate manner, and there are people who speak in a very sort of angry manner, and then you have people who are a little bit more soft spoken, a little bit more calm, more tranquil, things like that. It and it's easily to and it could be easily misconstrued and identified like, oh, he's overly aggressive or he's very angry, and that could be further from the truth. There are some people who when they talk about certain things or they're talking about something that they feel very passionate about, they're going to talk about it with a lot of enthusiasm. They're going to talk about it with a lot of energy, and some people are not ready to receive that. Or some people don't know how to really navigate conversations with someone who comes off that, I don't want to say abrasive, but very very full of that sort of that type of energy, right? And that could easily be mistaken. I think far too often the people who are compatible with each other and understand each other's dynamic, they're kind of missing each other. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not sure how people kind of align with that, but like people gotta identify that quickly.
Are you guys there? Okay.
Yep.
You just cut out, Luis. I mean, I know your internet does sometimes. I didn't know if you was still talking.
Yeah, I have that issue from time to time.
Yeah. If you guys are just tuning in,
too.
Yeah, if you guys are just tuning in, welcome to Lapeef-ing Sunday. So make sure we hit the like button. Also, make sure we subscribe to the channel. Shout out to the sponsor, TJ, the Uncomplicated Skincare for Men, 30% off along with a free gift. That link is in the description. So make sure you guys feel it. TJ. That being said, we're going to go ahead and hop into our next topic, which is why women use men. Let me go ahead and play this clip.
Never, ever, ever lie. Never do they lie. She showed you her red flags from day one. You chose to ignore them. Might show it simply by how she dresses. And she might show you that she might be provocative. Or she might show you with her sexual behavior. She might show you through how she is as a parent. She might not have kids and not prioritize them. Or she may have denied another man access to the children. And you think you're going to be captain stepdad and you're going to save the day. But the reality is she showed you that she denies men access to the children. And myself included, we show men all of our red flags. Now we pick the man that allows us to get away with the most nonsense. Now, if you don't have many red flags as a woman, what will happen is you attract a man with really clear boundaries. But a woman filled with red flags will only select a man who's filled with low self-esteem. She will find the man who doesn't know how.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into it. Why women use men. What did you guys think about what she said? I'm gonna go ahead and start with Jay first. I see you over there smiling, man. What's going on?
Nah, I mean that's kind of a fact, man. Women with a lot of red flags choose men with low self-esteem. I think that's a fact because they'll probably deal with a lot more, than somebody who, like she says, set clear boundaries. Like, I'm not standing for this. That was kind of the only thing I agreed with her on. Yeah, that's all I agree with her on.
All right, I'm gonna go to Angie. So, what are your thoughts, man?
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't know. I can't say I agree. Maybe that might be the norm. There's some exceptions. I mean, I can only speak on my own experience, so I can't speak on anybody else's. But when I came into the relationship that I'm in now, and I'm married now, I had red flags, and they weren't your typical red flags like gold digger or promiscuous. They weren't those type of red flags. It was like temper problems and low self-esteem, and it was carried over from my previous relationship and all of the damage that I endured during that. And the man that I'm with was the complete opposite, and he had no problem in calling me out on my BS. To this day, he still calls me out on my BS so much that it has provoked me to heal and to have a higher level of awareness of my red flags, and to even sometimes like backtrack and be like, you know what, I was tripping in that moment. I'm sorry. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with the fact that a woman who has a lot of red flags would gravitate towards a man who has low self-esteem or would enable her in that sense.
All right. I'm gonna go to you, Cloud Jones. What are your thoughts, sir?
I think what he's saying has truth to it. Like, especially if you're dealing with somebody that's like a little narcissistic. Like, I think that a person like that can apply to, but I really think it's situational though. Overall, like, it really depends on the woman. It really depends on the guy and the situation.
All right, Chanel. I need to get that. So whatever you had, I need to get that. Got you stuck over there. All right. We're gonna go ahead and go to Sugar Curls. What are your thoughts, man?
I think that there's a difference between universal red flags that we may all see as something that's dangerous or unhealthy, but then there's kind of like red flags that are personal. I mean, I don't know that I may see certain behaviors or things as red flags as others may, but there are certain things that are universal that we may all say, oh, okay, this type of person is definitely not healthy for me. Why women use men is because they're selfish and they have been used to in their life getting away with things. They've not been able to be disciplined and conditioned away. So they know how to camouflage themselves into fooling men. And it is ultimately up to that man to see if he's been fooled or not and get what they want. But as far as what she was saying with women show all their red flags from the beginning, I mean, I think to a degree we can all be a red flag to somebody. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a strange way to put it, but yeah.
All right.
Real quick, I don't feel like anybody puts their red flags up front. I feel like most people do their best. Traditionally, most people do their best to hide them. I think only recent, and depending how old you are you comfortable with, somebody asking you, what's the bad part of yourself? And you'll disclose that, but you're not going to give them everything. You might hit them with the bullshit like, oh, I'm stubborn. Oh, I'm moody, but you don't come out and hit them with the real shit. Like, yeah, I bust windows out sometime, I light your house on fire. Nobody's going to come out and say the real shit that we need to be worried about.
Yeah, the thing with the universal red flag is that we got to also understand that there are some people who are raised or born in certain conditions that they seen a certain type of behavior and have deemed it, okay. And that hasn't been self-corrected, that hasn't been talked about, that hasn't been resolved, right? And sort of a universal red flag that you might catch and you would deem that this is absolutely no-go. For someone else who unfortunately has been conditioned or has been through a certain amount of unfortunate trauma or circumstance, they might view that as not so much as a red flag, So I think it is circumstantial in that aspect. As far as what she said about a woman will show a man all her red flags and he will stick in, and she will pick a man who has low self-esteem. I think that becomes a sort of a power dynamic. If I could probably take a stab at that, I think it becomes a bit of a power dynamic, because if that person is stubborn enough to understand that, yes, I have been getting my way for a long period of time, and nobody has checked me, and nobody has corrected me, and no one has been in my corner to tell me I need to self-improve in any way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? And I will want somebody who's going to be submissive or subordinate to me or my reign. Because if I'm going to get what I want and I'm going to call the shots the way I call them, and I'm going to do whatever I want, and this person, because they have a low sense of self about themselves, that they won't challenge me because they're afraid to rock the boat in the relationship, kind of muddy the waters, for lack of a better word, they're going to probably go with that. Somebody who's a little bit more stern, a little bit more strong in their position, they're not going to tolerate that. They're going to call that bullshit out. To Angie's point, right? They're going to like, yeah, you did this, yeah, you said this, but you contradicted yourself. They're always going to be on 10, and some people don't want that kind of person. You know what I'm saying? They're afraid of that person, because that means that they need to take a moment to look themselves in the mirror and reflect on the things that they need to correct in order to be, a much better partner or parent, or, what I'm saying, or significant other. How you?
All right, go ahead, Penny.
I think our past experience will dictate what red flags we'll put up with. I think if a woman has a lot of red flags, but a man has experienced those red flags before and kind of knows what the outcome of those experiences, I think he'll be more willing to deal with that woman's red flag.
All right, balancing codes.
Okay, I agree with the video 1,000%. 1,000%. We're not talking about one or two red flags. The video said a lot of red flags. There's no confident, strong, independent, intelligent man that's going to stay with a woman that has a lot of red flags. And I think people aren't being realistic with themselves. They lie all the time. They lie to themselves. They have red flags, and you can see people's red flags when you first meet them. It's about if you choose to ignore it or not. And people will ignore red flags if they have low self-esteem, because they don't think they could get better. They don't want to try to get better. They're like, I'll just settle for this. But the red flags are blaring in men and women. That's one thing. In men and women. It says at the bottom, why do women use men? Because they're users. I mean, women that use men use women as well. They're just a user. It's just like men that use other men. They use women. That person's a user. It doesn't matter the sex. If you have that in you, you're a user, period. So you're going to use whoever you can. And people tend to use people that have low self-esteem. They're easier to manipulate and use. Those are easy targets. If I was a user, I would pick any man that has low self-esteem. Any man that's showing money, who's like looking like he just trying to get all this attention, I'm gonna use him. It's easy. So I'm just saying, like, man, I'm sorry, like. I'll leave it there.
I definitely want to agree with what Balance and Code said, because I definitely feel like that's true. Like if you looking like a lick, somebody's gonna treat you like a lick. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it has a lot to do with confidence. A person who's confident, you know what I mean? First off, a confident woman is not gonna have a problem dating someone who checks her on her bullshit, right? Because that's not gonna make her feel insecure. So I think really what matters is the intention of the woman and the confidence level of the woman. If she's a confident woman, she's going to be okay with being checked by a confident man. If she's not a confident woman, she's going to have a problem being checked by a confident man. And so she's going to seek out an insecure person that she can manipulate to make her feel more confident. So I agree with everything what Balance and Code is saying.
Go ahead, Chanel.
And yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say. A lot of men make it very easy. They put forth, or they'll say they don't need to be good looking. They don't need to have a good heart because they'll stand on their wallet. You know, they put forth those things in the forefront, and the women who obviously will take advantage of that will take advantage of that. And then they'll turn around and say, see, these women, all they want is just money and da-da-da. And it's like, you literally put the bait out there to get the exact type of fish you were looking for. And then you get mad when those women just want you for your money, but they don't love you for your personality. They don't love you for your good heart. So a lot of men, they put out these things, these very shallow things, and then get upset when they meet shallow women.
All right. Everybody else went, right?
No.
I'll go ahead, Hank, my bad.
Well, you know, first things first, man. Shout out to Bill Weathers. He told us about these type of women. I love that song too. But look, man, I agree 1,000% with what Balance said. If a woman's gonna use, they're gonna take advantage of the weak, and the ones that are weak minded will be taken advantage of. And so you're supposed to. If you weak minded, allow a woman to move on you like that, you deserve everything she gives you. That's your goddamn fault. That is your goddamn fault if you allow that to happen. As a man, that's not how you should be moving. You need to move like a man. If you want to call yourself a leader, you deem yourself as a leader, move like a leader. And don't always lead with your money to do it. Because if that's the case, these little leeches will notice that and they will pounce. They will see what they can do to take advantage of. Whether they're going to sell you some wolf tickets or whatever they're going to do to sell you a dream or two and get what they're looking for and move on to the next guy. Stop being tricks out here. Move like a man should move. Stand up. Don't sit down to pee.
All right. Anybody else want to add anything else to this topic? Going once, going twice, man. Y'all exhausted? Tired y'all out?
Nah, I mean, Hank said, pretty much like.
I mean, we're hitting the high notes. So
Hank and Chanel, anything that I was going to say, I mean, in terms of what you put out there and then you get it and then you complain about it, I mean, the main thing is if you are dealing with a certain type of person that you continuously complain about, then it's not the people, it's you. And you need to figure out why you're bringing those type of people in, because you get what you ask for.
I wanted to ask you guys a question that I asked some of my female friends. Do you think it becomes a point where there's a responsibility for you when it comes to someone who does have low self-esteem? Because I know a lot of people say, well, if that person opens themselves up to that, then they deserve that. But as a person, is there a responsibility of you? So say you know that you can get anything from a man, or you can easily make someone fall for you really easily. Is there any responsibility for you knowing that that person is too weak for you to talk to or to pursue?
Is that a question for the men or the women?
Yeah. Both.
Okay, can I
strong lead the weak. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. And the wise lead the strong. It just is what it is.
Because I know, one of my female friends, she said, well, if he's giving it, I'm going to take it. And I responded to her,
what? As she should.
But she knows that he's feeling her more than, he's feeling her more than she's feeling him. And I feel like at a certain age, there's a responsibility to say, like, hey, he's not, level-headed enough, to understand that. But to keep taking from someone knowing that they're not at that level, like, is there a responsibility for the person or for you?
Where's the circle of friends at?
Huh?
Where's this circle of friends at? Where's the elder teaching this man? Because
I don't know the guy. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The hell with her. She's gonna do what she do. She sound like a hell of a user. Keep doing your job, baby. If that's what you want to do. But I'm talking about this dude. Dude, where's your circle of friends at? Why ain't they in there? Why ain't they telling this man, dude, do you see what she's doing to you? She's taking advantage of you. She's walking all over you. What do you like? Does that turn you on? Now, if he's continued to do it after his circle of friends had that tough, embarrassing, in your face type conversation, and he still does it, yeah, Let him be.
So you
Let him
don't
be.
think there's any responsibility for the person who knows
As
that
a
they can.
user's not gonna. What, you think they're gonna all of a sudden become accountable? Hell no.
Well,
They're gonna
not
keep.
just a user, but like, you know, not necessarily a user, but
Listen.
someone who knows what they're capable of. Like as far as like, I don't want to say a user, but like if you know that, like say like pretty privilege, you know, if you know that you can get certain things from someone, and you know at that point you're like, yeah, I'm not really feeling them that way, but you know if you want to continue to, you know,
Listen.
give to me, then I'll take, you know.
So are you
people
talking about
pleaser.
the aspect of the man, or are you talking about the aspect of the woman?
Listen, it don't matter who it is. A people
on the
pleaser is gonna find somebody to people please. It don't matter if you're not using them or not.
But I got you.
Yeah,
Like if somebody's a people pleaser,
accountability for that, some kind of moral, you know, within your
Yeah,
morals
yeah,
within yourself.
yeah. I mean, I was gonna say if it's, you know, like the old me probably didn't really care in particular, but I think as you grow older and you start to learn about yourself and your powers and your abilities, you know, you it just boiled down to what Penny said, character. You know, you got to have some character about like what you're doing. If you're seeing somebody that's out there weak and you just taking advantage of them for whatever reason, then what does that say about yourself? So I think the way I move, if I know that they're weak, you know, maybe I try to get them some game or either try to. I'm just not in the business taking advantage of somebody.
listen, I personally don't believe that people get taken advantage of. Like, I think that both people are always getting something out of it. An example I'm gonna use is like an OnlyFans, right? Like, if a woman decides tomorrow that, let's say she's draining a dude's wallet on OnlyFans, and says tomorrow, you know what, this is wrong what I'm doing. I'm gonna close my OnlyFans. You know what's gonna happen? That dude is gonna find another girl's OnlyFans to follow and to drain his wallet because that's what he wants to do. He's getting something out of being used, and she's getting something out of the use. Like we like to make it seem like somebody's really being taken advantage of, but that's not the case. Nobody told him to go there, put his wallet on that account. Nobody told him to do all this, to send all these tips. No one told him he had to pay for every video. He chose to do that. And so she's going to accept the money. And that's just what it is. I feel like a lot of times we try to put too much responsibility in other people's hands to take care of what we should be taking care of on our own. Bro, if you got a problem with tricking or you got a problem with people pleasing or whatever it is, you got to deal with that on your own. You cannot expect the user to stop you. The same with gambling. Like if I got a gambling problem, the casino ain't going to help me. Like, why am I asking for the casino to be like, bro, maybe you should stop gambling? No, I need to realize it's a problem and stop gambling. That's the only way it's ever going to get fixed. The casino's a business, and their job is to get money. And guess what? They're not taking advantage of me because there's someone that gambles there every day that don't got a problem. But I'm the one with the problem. So it's like, yeah, problem's individual, and we can't blame somebody else just because they're benefiting off of my problem.
So when I said what I said, it wasn't every situation. I mean, everything's situational. If it's a business, something like that, I mean, business are in business. Insurance are in the business too. I mean, you can have insurance all day. You do one thing, and then they're trying to raise your rates, or either they're trying to kick you off, depending on how bad it is. So the world gonna operate how it operate. But in certain circumstances, you clearly know when you are taking advantage of somebody, and then at that point, that's when the character comes into play. You can't stop the world from working. And there's just some things that's just going to be what it is. But you got to be able to decipher what's going on in that situation, how you're going to address it. If you got good character, typically if somebody got good character, they probably not going to be on OnlyFans anyway. You know, so then they just going to let them do whatever it is they do. They just not going to even be there. But if you are in a situation where you know you want up, because there are some men out there when they date, they know that they can get whatever it is they want from most women. They ain't going to be all, but for most women, you got the upper hand depending on who you are.
Well, you know, the bad thing about it, you want the user to all of a sudden get a moral compass. Yeah, don't waste your time. That's not going to happen. So if this girl is your friend, if I was you, I evaluate my friendship.
She's an
okay,
ex-friend.
good.
But
that's exactly what I was going to say. Because guess what?
Yeah.
You're next.
But you know,
she hasn't already done it. You are next if she hasn't already done it. So no, I wouldn't have nothing to do with the heifer. Let her be. And if a dude's gonna sit there and get used and abused, then just let him get used and abused. Again, he should have a circle of friends that's in his ears like, what the hell are you doing, dog? his father, or some elder in the circle. What are you doing? Why are you moving like this, dog? Why are you allowing this woman to take advantage of you? You buying the kids all these clothes. You take her, you paying her rent in a ragged ass apartment. You know what I'm saying? You buy her a new car. Why are you doing this? And if he chooses not to change, if he chooses to continue to support this individual like that, then dog, that's what it's meant to be. Look, let him keep doing it till he gets tired. And then we'll see him on one of these shows crying and complaining about these women doing what they doing. And I'm going to tear his ass up as soon as I hear him.
Sometimes some people want to play the noble fool, just
exactly
playing that like gullible, give, and this is just what I gotta do. And men, if you're hearing this, you gotta stop doing that. Gotta stop being the noble fool. You know what I'm saying? Start valuing your time, your presence, your energy. You know what I'm saying? You gotta value all of that, because if you don't, people are going to smell that and pick up on you, and you're going to be a lick, just like Cloud Jones said.
Yeah, I think it's a responsibility. I tell people that all the time, or when some of my male friends tell me about situations, and I tell them, you know what power you have. Why do you need to use it on her? But for me, I feel like when you were younger, you found out what kind of power you had, and as an adult, that's when the character comes into play, and you say, I'm too. It's a responsibility to me. There is, as a person.
All right. I'll go ahead and transition. If you guys just tuning in, welcome to Lapeef-ing Sunday. Make sure you hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Shout out to the sponsor, T-Channeling Uncomplicated Skincare for Men. 30% off along with a free gift. That link is in the description. We did have a couple super chats that came through. Bob 199 says, I got Jill Scott on the panel. That's your fan, Janelle. And then Charles Keys, Sr., $5 says, only one red flag. Did her father raise her? No. Run away. I want to say thank you to the people that's contributed thus far. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the conversation. We know the ladies like the meat. Ow! With that being said, here we go. A lot of mothers keep kids coming back to them. Fathers build families. This was a discussion that we talked about on King Talk, and thought it'd just be great if we went on ahead and got other people involved. King Talk is a panel full of men, so would be interested in hearing what the women have to say on this as well. So here we go. I got two clips. Luis did add something. Luis did add something to it too, so I will play that maybe halfway through after we get done with the first discussion. So there we go.
Fathers are important. A lot of mothers keep kids coming back to them. Fathers build families. There's a very big difference. So if you notice this, the reason why we cry so much about fathers, their absence, and that, there aren't any families, we giving Big Mama too much credit. Thank God she was there. But what we were really missing, Big Mama wasn't the glue. She was the person where we all loved, and we all had a central reason to be together. But there was no family. That's why when Big Mama left, it looked like it was dispersed. It was never together. This is why, if you look at when grandfathers were there, we had family. We have people talking to each other. We have people working together. We have people planning together, because women keep people loving them. Fathers are the ones who build families.
Anybody need to hear it again, or y'all good?
Good.
I did want to make sure I understood the first part, that a lot of mothers keep children coming back to them. I don't think I'm clear on what that means from the video as well.
You was about to say something, Luis?
Yeah, so I guess what the title at the bottom is trying to say, Sugar Curls, is that, a lot of mothers, keep children coming back to them, meaning, they're the focal point why people come back together, you know what I'm saying, to keep loving on them. And sort of the juxtaposition that Sir Hale made in the video was that, although that's what mothers do, or Big Mama the fathers were the ones that were making people, interact with each other, talking with each other, building with each other, right? There was that sense of family. You know what I'm saying? It's not you just showing up and saying that, hi, I'm here, I'm present, I'm on time, does not, gel within that sort of family dynamic. It's about, everybody putting hands in together, everybody building, everybody having conversations that are leading somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I got this trucking business. Like, hey, I have somebody who needs a job, who has who has a CDL. Let me introduce you. It's about that sort of full circle involvement, right? People, playing dominoes together. People, grilling and cooking together. Throwing the frisbee. Moving around, having conversations. It's about those moments, as opposed to everybody just huddling around Big Mama. And I think that's what Sir Hale was trying to land.
All right. I'm gonna bring it back just one more time.
Fathers are important. A lot of mothers keep kids coming back to them. Fathers build families. There's a very big difference. So if you notice this, the reason why we cry so much about fathers, their absence, and that there aren't any families, we giving Big Mama too much credit. Thank God she was there. But what we were really missing, Big Mama wasn't the glue. She was the person where we all loved, and we all had a central reason to be together. But there was no family. That's why when Big Mama left, it looked like it was dispersed. It was never together. This is why, if you look at when grandfathers were there, we had family. We have people talking to each other. We have people working together. We have people planning together, because women keep people loving them. Fathers are the ones who build families.
All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and dive into it. You guys heard it right there. A lot of mothers keep kids coming back to them. Fathers build families. We'll go ahead and start with balancing first. What are your thoughts, ma'am?
I agree with Sir Hal to a certain extent, because if we look at the community now, people of color, the majority of our families are made up of predominantly women and children. Like you go to a woman's house, it's the grandmother, the mom, and the kids, majority. Like the father isn't around, and they're not building, and I'm talking majority, so I don't want to offend anybody. So majority wise, they're not building generational wealth. They're not building strong family structures. They're teaching their children also to emulate them. So if they're single moms, then their children a lot of times become single moms. And we're seeing that. It's not really a strong family dynamic. It's more so women having children and grandma's in the house and cooking and bringing all the family together. And again, majority, not everybody. I don't want to offend anybody that's watching this. So I agree with Sir Hal to a certain extent that the man is the glue, and he is what helps to build generational wealth, what helps to build a strong family, a strong backbone. Like, you need the man. So once you take that out, it really is just women and children. So I mean, that's the best way I could say that right now, because I don't want to offend anybody. So I'm just gonna shut up right now. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go to you, Hank. What are your thoughts, sir?
I don't know why Valens don't want to offend nobody, because that truth's gonna hurt regardless. There's nothing you can do about that, right? The truth's gonna hurt. So I agree, and how important it was, and how it when the grandfather's not, it's like a free fall. So again, we seen that when we watch some of these old movies. Was that I can't think what the old movie they had with Vanessa Williams, and they all came and before Grandma passed, they all got together for Sundays.
Soul food.
Soul food.
Yeah, soul food.
So we've seen how that operates, and how it was like controlled chaos over there. You know what I'm saying? But if grandfather had been in the picture, I think it probably been more control, less chaos. It wouldn't be a less back and forth, because they would have known. Grandfather would have put his foot down, as he would have went in the back, got that goddamn shotgun on their ass, and ready to threaten to blow somebody's head off. They don't get that shit together. You know what I'm saying? Regardless if it's the men and the husband and the wives are into a disagreement, y'all better get it together while y'all here. You know, we ain't got no habits at the table. Once y'all get in your car, you're on your way home, do what you do, but not here. So, yeah, it's just pretty much how important fathers are in the community as a whole. It's greatly needed. I'm definitely going to do a show about this Wednesday, talking about fatherhood. I'm going to use that clip if you don't mind, JR. But But yes, it's a much needed thing, man. I feel like more fathers been in our household. It would be a lot better amongst not only just for the family but for the kids as well, because they need that structure, they need that leadership, and they probably wouldn't have men like we just talked about a minute ago getting used by this girl because he's there educating him, enlightening him, telling him, hey man, don't allow this girl just to take advantage of you like that. So we wouldn't have a situation like that if there was a father in the home.
All right. What Angie, so what are your thoughts, ma'am? A lot of mothers keep kids coming back to them fathers, build families.
I would agree. Especially to Balancing Code's point, like, not to offend anyone, but in communities of color, you see that fathers are absent a lot. And I can't help but realize that where the father is absent, you see a broken family dynamic. So, and like Balancing Code says, then you raise your children to grow up with that narrative. Then before you know it, they just follow in that trend as the years go on. For me, also, I'm probably a little biased because I was actually raised by my father. My mom was not in the picture. I was a single father raising 3 girls at that. You know what I mean? So although I felt the absence of my mother, my dad did a tremendous job and just being the glue and the patriarch of our family and just instilling of how important those family values are.
I want to say salute to your father.
Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, Jay.
I think fathers are, I wouldn't say they build families. I would say they sustain families. You know, like when a father's in the equation, man, it's almost like that assurance that somehow everything is going to be okay. You know, no matter what you go through out in the world, you know, just having the ability to call your dad, you know, with that wisdom, or, you know, when we were young, we felt like, well, you know, those with the fathers in the home, when you were young, there was a point where you felt like your father was your superhero. You know, that was kind of the natural order. Then you got older, you might have had some resentment for him once you got more information about things that he's done. You know, then you get older and you understand and you go through the things that you resented him for, and you like, oh, you know, so it's kind of like an evolution of having a father in your life and realizing what he means to a family. And this is me observing people that didn't have that. And, you know, in our community, it's crazy. It's almost like as a child, you're resented for like this nigga got a dad, you know, like niggas that actually use that as a diss. Like, look at this thing over here, you got a dad. Like, come on, fam. You know, but my pops was the type of person that when kids who didn't have dads in the home came around, they felt safe with him. You know, they felt like everything's gonna be okay. I remember one of my neighbors was like, you know, knowing that your pops was next door made me feel safe because he was, you know, he had a single mother. He was like, I felt safe. And that's what a father is. He sustains, he makes you feel safe, like everything's gonna be okay. And that's missing because then you have people assuming roles that are not meant for them. You know, you have women being more masculine, you have dudes being more feminine, you know, assuming different roles that this isn't meant for you. So it throws everything out of whack. So when I say it sustains it, it sustains it. It makes sure that everybody's playing the role that they're supposed to play. You know, I seen a comic strip. This was some years back where it was a picture. It was a cartoon strip of a grandmother, a mother, a little daughter, and a son. And the grandmother was saying, you girl, you don't need no man. And the bubble over the mother's head was like, yeah, you're right, I don't need no man. The daughter's comic strip was saying, I don't even want a man. And the little son, his comic strip said, I don't even want to be a man. Like, it's crazy how psychological, you know, that plays, that the little dude was so influenced by what they were going through, by them playing different roles, he didn't even want to be a man, yo. I'm like, come on. But that's the reality. I've seen it, you know. That's it. But ultimately, I would say fathers sustain family.
All right, I like that, Jay. Sugar Curl Salon, what are your thoughts, man? Now that you got a clear understanding of what sort you have been referring to.
Mm-hmm. So I am always going to be an advocate for fathers being in the home. Fathers, grandfathers, uncles have always been an intricate part of my life. And when I've had that, there's always been sustainability. There's always been, we as women have been able to operate at optimal level, at our full potential. And so when the fathers are not present, we do see a lot of chaos, a lot of defiance, a lot of lack of self-control. I can imagine not having, father, uncle, grandfather. Like I said earlier, we had a family reunion this weekend. My grandfather is 80. All his brothers were there. The men were there, the fathers. So I think when the gentleman, Sir Hill, made the statement, we put too much emphasis on the mother or big mother in his analogy. I don't really know real time what that looks like. And I can only speculate based on my community, because one will argue, well, okay, Sugar Curls, if you haven't experienced that, what do you see in your community? I can look at my community and say certain things, but I can't speculate and assume I understand that. So I think his point was we need to put maybe as equal emphasis on making sure the fathers stay present, and as women do our part so that our men doesn't feel like he'd rather be away than be with us. Make sure we give them the praise and honor they deserve so that, they don't feel like they'd rather be doing something else. But I don't know how we put more emphasis on mothers in the community. I don't understand, so I don't know how that would influence our community. Our grandmothers and my great grandmother, they were praised. And I think that men, when women are doing what they're supposed to do, and children, we do praise our grandmothers and mothers, because the scriptures tell us to do that. When we see a woman getting up early and taking care of her family, she sets priorities for her home. She cooks. She makes sure the kids are well behaved. Her man, who is man of God, will praise her. But too much praise, I don't really know that I can agree or disagree with that.
All right. Well, Chanel.
I'm totally with you, Sugar Curls. That's my experience too. I didn't grow up with my actual father, but my uncle and my aunt raised me along with my mom. And I do believe that fathers are important. I think we all on this panel believe that fathers give structure, they hand down inheritance. For my own life, my uncle built homes on different plots of land, and he handed that off to his family. He's since passed, but we still have that legacy today. My personal experience is the women in my family brought people together, prayed for people who had conflicts, forced people to settle any problems that they had within each other or amongst each other. So for me, when I hear this, I can empathize, but my experience is that women in my personal family helped support the men's mission in continuing the structure, stopping the craziness, and making sure that the family proceeds to be a good, well-off, good moral family. And as Sugar Curls was also saying, I can look out into the community and I can see the downfall. I can see that having too many single parent homes where it's focused on the mother can be a detriment to a family. I definitely can see that. But from my personal experience, this is just not true. But I definitely empathize for the people who have this lived experience. And also Jay was saying that men sustain families, and I definitely agree with that.
Anybody that hasn't gone? Did I skip anybody? Everybody?
I didn't go. I definitely agree with the sentiment of fathers building families. The way I like to look at it is like, I look at it like fathers are like, if we're thinking of like architecture or building, I look at fathers like the framework, and I look at mothers like the interior. Like the mothers are kind of what you see. You know what I mean? Like you see the with the furniture placements, you see the style of the house. But what people often don't see is the actual structure. They don't see the foundation. They don't see how the framework is put up, and they don't see what's actually keeping that house up. Like if we use the example of like a Big Mama's house or soul food, like a lot of time that Big Mama character gets the credit for like bringing the family together, but we forget that the whole reason that Big Mama even cooked that whole dinner was for Big Papa. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole reason that she made all of them ribs and all of that chicken, because she wanted to make sure he got the big piece. You know what I mean? Or it was after he was doing his hard labor on whatever day, and on Sunday she wanted to give him a treat. So her way of showing him that respect was by preparing that meal and inviting all of his grandchildren around to kind of be there to enjoy him. So I feel like that's how I see the dynamic. A lot of time it's also easy to forget that men are there because that men sustain families in that way. Because again, like I said, with a building, you do not see the framework. You don't see the wood. You don't see the structure. You just see the interior and the furniture and the facade on the outside. But a lot of the important tools are hidden. And I feel like that's how it is for a lot of men and families. They kind of like silently hold the family up and don't really get the praise, but their position is still just as important. But it's also as important, I think, for the woman to get that praise. Like what Chanel was saying, like when we talk about a virtuous woman being praised in the gates by her husband, like that's an honor for a man to have. Like, sure, I'm the structure, but I want to have a beautiful inside of my house. It's not going to look pretty if it's just framework. You know what I'm saying? I need some nice walls, nice wallpaper. I need to hang up my paintings. I need nice carpet. I need the house to be a home. So it all works together.
Yeah, that is an excellent analogy, Cloud. That is, wow. That's really, really good. I want to ask one quick question. Can any of you here raise your hand if you have yearly family reunions? Any hands? Family reunions? Only 2 people? Two
Not
and a half?
anymore.
Yo, put a 1 in the chat if you guys have yearly family reunions, at least once a year. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's during the holidays, whether it's summertime, you know what I'm saying? Are there any families that do like big family retreats? Like they go and fly somewhere, whether it's the islands, maybe it's another destination like maybe Texas or California. I'm just curious to know because we're on this subject in this topic, but I want to know how often do families really have reunions? You know what I'm saying? Especially summertime cookouts. Like I get that people have like the smaller, more intimate, immediate families, and maybe you have some relatives that are close by. But like, how often do people plan that every other year big family reunion? You know what I'm saying? And if it's not often enough, or at least once a year, that's a very tall tale sign that we're kind of drifting further and further and further away from the center mass of what really brings us together and holds us together, right? Because that loss of unity, that loss of family, that sense of community amongst one another who have a lot of things in common, especially, like Big Papa and, and Big Mama, that right there becomes sort of the focal point that a lot of people miss, because you hand down stories, you hand down life experiences, you hand down those important conversations like Hink had brought up earlier, right? And sort of, if people are not really having yearly family reunions, what are they really doing? Because just posting pictures and looking them up on Facebook, you know what I'm saying, I don't think goes further enough. Do people even have Facebook family groups? Like, this is the Martells or the Johnsons, big, family Facebook posts where everybody just interacts and catches up. Do people even do that? You know what I'm saying? I know other people outside our community do, but I'm just curious, in mass, are people even doing that? Because how are people still staying together?
I mean, I could speak for my family. I'm gonna say in my family, we definitely didn't do family reunions like that, but I think it kind of coincides with this conversation because there's not a lot of men in my family. Like, you know what I'm saying? My dad had 1 brother. My mom had no brothers. Like, the majority of my family is women, and I feel like just the nature of like marriage, right? The women get married and they join other families. So when they're going to their family reunions, they're usually off at their husband's family reunion and that whatever their husband's side of their family is doing. But I feel like, especially when a family doesn't have a lot of men in the family, not even just that patriarch person at the top, like Big Papa, but just like men in the family, it's hard to keep the family together because every time that woman gets married or links up with a man, she's out the family.
Yeah, but see, this I'm gonna land on this point right here. Why is it that doesn't happen enough? But yet, when there is a death in the family and there's a funeral to be attended, everybody and their mothers, even people who you haven't seen in 25 plus years, all show up out of the woodwork. Even the neighbor, you know.
That's a great point.
I just wanted to say this real quick because I know Penny was in the back chat, but my grandmother passed away 3 years ago on Mother's Day. And the older she got, that's when you started to see our family wasn't doing well. Everybody just started falling off. So back in the day, that's what they used to do. We used to have a family reunion where everybody would go to Mississippi. Whether you was up north, you would rent cars. Everybody always went back to Mississippi, and we had these huge. And then it transitioned from just having like barbecues on every holiday. But my grandmother used to sacrifice her energy, her time. She would do this cooking. She didn't grill. She would always cook everything, and she would have bulk of it for everybody. Or either our cousin would grill, and then she would just do like most of the sides, and then the meat would be outside. But everybody would come. Like my grandma would bring everybody, but she would sacrifice herself for the happiness of the family. My grandfather was a structure similar to what Big Clout said, right? You didn't really see him, but he was the one that held the household together in order for my grandmother to be able to operate how she needed to operate. I think I seen Bruiser put a super chat in there, and I think that everybody has their role in the family. I mean, even when you think about what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to raise our kids so that when we get old, our kids take care of us. So there's a lot of things that's supposed to be happening that are not happening. And if you think about the way the world is going, even with social media, our attention is not on the happiness of the family. Our attention is on the happiness of each other. You know, like what are we getting from the likes? Like what are we getting from like the post and all the toxic stuff that's going on? Like we're not focused on our families. When everybody goes out, everybody got their phone in their hands. So I think it's important to understand that it's going to take us to do the change. At some point in time, my cousin and I used to have conversations where we'll be like, we're not having these family reunions. It's going to be up to us to kind of carry that tradition. Have we done it? No, we have not done it at all. But I think it is important for us to get back to those roots because family is everything. And I'm guilty of it. You know, I need to do a better job at making sure, because everybody gonna tape it off. Like it used to be a time where we used to sit and we didn't have anything to worry about. We used to depend on our parents and our grandparents to do everything. And then it came that time where it's like, oh, I'm an adult right now. I don't have anybody to turn to. Now I got to start figuring these things out. Oh, there's a water leak. Oh, the roof just caved in. I don't have anybody else to really rely on. So at some point in time, you have to understand what being an adult entails. It entails us stepping up, doing what we got to do to carry on these traditions. Everybody plays a role. The woman plays her role, the man plays their role, the kids play their role, and as a family, we play a role in all this. So I just want to speak on that, man, because I think we all are lost. And the way the world is going right now with all this AI and virtual reality and threads coming out, it's a lot of things that's going to distract us, and it's going to be up to you to take the initiative to be able to push this. Even us having this conversation, we got to understand how important this conversation is for us to get our families back together. It's family we don't even know. It's nieces and nephews, and it's some people that don't even know their own sister and brother kids because they're so divided for whatever reason. Something happened, some type of trauma they experienced, and it divided them. So we got to do better, and it's going to start with us. So I want everybody to make sure when you hop off this live stream to make sure you make a call, make sure you plan something. The summer is still young. We still, I guess, midway, right? July, midway. But let's plan something. The next holiday coming up, plan a barbecue, invite everybody. and then just keep. It's like rinse and repeat. Just keep doing it over and over again, and eventually everybody start adapting. Like, oh man, that was. I seen all the pictures. I seen all the videos. If you're gonna use social media, use it for all the positivity. You know, go ahead and post that barbecue so that you can entice the other family members to want to come. As Louise say, I yield.
And just imagine, man. Just imagine how hard. Think of like every family reunion that you've had. Imagine showing up there knowing that you've been on OnlyFans all year. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I say that we're not connected to anything. You know, you can make a bunch of individual decisions and infractions because I'm not attached to anything. I don't have anybody to make proud. I don't have anybody to disappoint. So I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna wiggle my ass in front of this camera because I don't have a family reunion to show up to, or no people or no elders to answer to. You know, I am my own elder, you know, but stuff like that kept you in line. You know, I haven't had a family reunion in a long time either. And it's because all of the elders that would run them, or there was the pillars, you know, they've gotten older, they've died, you know, so on and so forth. But think about like when that cousin, or, you know, that crazy cousin, or that, you know, brother that was in jail, you know, when they came to those family reunions, that was like, yo, you held court. Like, what's going on? Why the hell are you in jail? What's going on? Why you got your ass open? What's going on? Why you, all of that? You know, we ate, we had fun, we laughed, we played cards, but please believe you was gonna get one of them pep talks like, hey, JR, what you got going on, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, you was gonna get cornered and you was gonna get checked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jay, don't do this, man.
I'm trying to figure out what you said. Oh, my ass open. You got to do everybody off that one.
I remember in my seat when he said that.
What I'm saying is, when you're attached to something, you make better decisions because you have people to make. You have a name. You're attached to a name that you need to hold up in high regard. So when you have this family, or when you're aware of this big family that you have to make proud, or that you have to let down, you move a little differently.
I agree with what Jay was saying. I just want to add to that. Like, I have noticed, like, sometimes you said what?
You said you agree with him.
Yeah, I agree with what he was saying.
Everything?
Not the ass open part. But I was gonna say, like, a lot of times, like when you watch these, like I don't know, like these old movies, right, with a lot of Eurocentric themes, right, with a lot of Europeans in them. They seem to have this thing, right, where they're like, we're Washingtons, you know, we're Cartwrights, you know, you act right, you're a whatever your last name is, you know, you're a
Hatfields.
Yeah, whatever. And I feel like that's something that's like really big, especially in like the white community. I think like they really like, even that down to their businesses, like they gonna put their name on a business. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something in your house that you use that you refer to by some man's last name. So I feel like we need to kind of get that more in our community too. There needs to be more pride about like, yo, this is my last name, this is my family, this is what it represents. So if I'm so and so Jackson or so and so Johnson, I can't be on OnlyFans smearing my family name, because that actually means something to be a Jackson or a Johnson, as opposed to just being a name that's just like, you know, we have it, but we don't know what it's connected to.
I agree, man. Anybody else got any final thoughts?
Yeah, but I'm gonna need for that Johnson girl to keep busting her ass wide open so I can watch her on next video. Don't clap. I mean, don't deserve for doing that.
But that's the thing, man. When like, you know, after all of the flair is gone, after all it,
you know, balance, you know, we start talking that talk, man. Shit go off camera.
Oh, no, my fault. But
come on back, balance.
But this is a question for the men. Like, after all the enticing is done and you've watched what you watch, don't you think to yourself like, God damn, man, where's her dad? I feel guilty. You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the dad? Where's the mom? Where's the granddad? Where's the grandmom? I start to think of stuff like that. Then I feel guilty. I feel ashamed, and I get that shit off my screen, you know. But
Jay, most
you
people hit the
better
picture
be. I
button.
don't feel no shame. I go in there, get the wet wipes, wash my hands, and keep it moving.
That's God talking to you, Jay. That's God communing with you.
I'm trying to understand what y'all talking about, man. They all lost me a little bit.
Oh, I have no idea. I just talk about using wet wipes. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else got any final thoughts besides wet wipes? Anything else going once? Go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, man. Reach out to your families, man. You know, especially summertime before the fall comes, especially depending on where you at. You know, reconnect with people. You know, be the beacon. You know, start the process. Even if there is nobody leading the way, at least attempt to be the first one. You know, up to bat and take a swing and try to get people reconnected. You know, start. You know, group chat threads. You know, social media threads, things of that nature to keep people connected and trying to, you know, create those reunions, right? That's where a lot of these conversations that we have on these different panels, on these different shows, could happen in real time and in real space, you know what I'm saying, especially to help the youth.
Yeah, and there's something else I want to put out there too as well is that I know we have a lot of families that's out there where either the mother, the father may not be doing well, or maybe a sibling not doing well, and all the responsibility is falling on one person. So if you are aware that you do have somebody that's within the home that needs some care, it's not their fault, right? It may have been their fault early on. Maybe they didn't take care of themselves, but at the end of the day, they still family. So let's make sure that we are helping out who's ever is taking care of their responsibility, because it is hard on them. I mean, you got people that are sacrificing their whole entire lives, their marriages, in order to care for the loved one, and they know that they're not going to get that help from any other family. If you know that person is out there, then you make sure you reach out and you help them. I mean, it's our duty as family, right? If family is the important thing, we got to make sure we helping out.
And I love what everybody said. I agree with what everyone just said. I just want to be inclusive of everyone, just so everyone can feel included. Because, you know, we do have those people that may come from a very toxic, abusive family, right? So I just don't want to leave those people out. I just thought what popped in my head is that movie Anton Fisher. I don't know if you guys remember that one where Denzel Washington played in that. And like his family was super abusive and toxic and all these things. Like, you got to learn how to forgive those people, and it's okay to move forward and start your own family and start your own traditions and have your own family reunions with your new family. I just want to include those people. That's all.
Also, we have family drafts where we adopt people into new families. You know, although you don't have a family, or your family might be too toxic to continue a fruitful, positive relationship. You know what I'm saying? Seek those people out. We love to usher you in.
Hey, you ain't got to have blood in your veins to be family, though. You ain't got to be kin to be family. So let me say that too.
Yeah. I forgot to play that video. I'll play it real quick. If y'all want to respond to it, y'all can. But this is what Luis' response was on that same episode.
Agree with the sentiment that we value money first before family. And I think that, you know what I'm saying, the family has to come first, or the family mindset has to come first before the money. And I understand that, you know, we need money in order to, you know, put ourselves in an economical, favorable position. But I think that there is no longer this sense of community or what that looks like. You know, I know we brought up before like the nuclear family, but let's be very honest. The nuclear family is very isolated. It's not really attached to the extended family where you have other members of your family helping out in other aspects of your life, especially when you have children.
That's crazy today. That's crazy that's going down today. Like family reunion, they don't even do that no more.
Yeah. Yeah, that was additional context. Anybody want to add to that? Respond? Anything?
Nah, I mean, it sounds like, you know, to me, like, you know, a man shouldn't put price value over his family. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't, you know, whether you means you have to miss out on that overtime You know what I'm saying? Whatever that takes, then do what you need to do to make sure you accompany the needs of the family. You know what I'm saying? If you again, like you say, if it means you have to work a different type shift, I'm sorry, to make sure your family's good. So if my wife's working, 9 to 5, that means I need to work a second shift in order to keep the kids and make sure they good and they off and they are in a good space. Then do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? I know it may be uncomfortable, but hey, if that's a sacrifice as a man, that what you got to do, that's what you have to do. It's all part of the game plan.
All right. And for everybody that keeps saying Lewis, it's not Lewis, it's Luis. No, shout out to the editor, Lewis. It's Luis. Anybody else?
I did want to comment on what he's mentioned in that clip and take it to a different perspective away from just in our personal families where we have to make the adjustments. I also want to apply it in my personal life with respects to just taking out the time. Like sometimes we say, oh, I'm so busy. I don't have time. I'm so busy. And I've had to really get on myself within the last couple of years. Like, wait a minute. Actually, I have 20 minutes to call my papa. I have 20 minutes to call my aunt. Doesn't have to be a long conversation. Doesn't have to be anything extravagant, or maybe just send a gift. If I know my dad likes something, just send it. Say, hey, I'm thinking about you. I just want to let you know you're on my mind. Something short like that could work because we are very busy, and it's a design of this world to keep us distracted, to keep us away from nature, keep us away from family, away from God, away from those things that really are our foundation and keep our faith strong. So I appreciate what he mentioned, and I'm going to keep doing that.
All right, absolutely. No, we're nearing that time, family, man. I'm going to end by saying this, too. Just make sure you reach out to your family, man, your extended family. Make sure y'all get everything together. I am looking to put something together. The foundation of the Lapeef Network is family. That's why you always hear me say what's going on, family. So I am looking to put something together that will be, I guess, family oriented. So we all come out. We all have a great time. It's going to probably be on a smaller scale, but I would like for the people that's on the panel and some of the other people that's part of the network, I'm going to put something together, some creative, put a little spin to it, but it's going to be to bring everybody together so that we can meet, have conversations, laugh, eat good, and then be able to talk about it. So I'm looking to do that before the year is out. I'll be putting something together, so y'all stay tuned for that. We did have some super chats that came through. Andre Dale, $5 says, fathers and mothers build families. However, the father is the foundation of the family to become one. It's a synergy that fully stabilizes families. Salute to you for that. Bruiser, what's going on, brother? 1999 says, don't make it a narrative that if the father is gone, the family falls apart. If the mother is gone, the same happens. The issue is the inability of the woman to bring a father figure back into the home to restore stability. Like that take dedicated to my children's future, $12. That's an odd number. It says Sunday energy, strong arm emoji, respect to the panel and the chat with the peace emoji. Kelly Connections, 199. So member says, people don't understand, appreciate, or value family. Thank you, Miss Connections. And Bigot 11, $10 said, there is a family, and then there are some people that you're just related to. Let's be honest, there is a difference. 100 emoji, what up, Hink? And lastly, the beautiful Kelly Connections, 199 says, be present wherever you are. Truly connect. With that being said, it's been a great show. I want to salute the Green Gang. I see you, Blaxicon, Jordan Landry, dedicated to my children's future. Locos, Torrance, Moore. I want to thank all my Green Gang, man. I want to thank the panel. Let's make sure we support each other. We all got great things going on. Angie Soul is her second time. Y'all make sure y'all give her a follow. JS Story to Tell. Sugar Curl Salon. Y'all make sure y'all cop those products. I love it. It works. The hair and body oil, I'm still using it to this day. I even stole some of Kelly's. She don't use it. Hink in the Basement. Y'all make sure y'all follow him. Catch him on Wednesdays as well. Chanel. It's always a delight. Big Clout Jones. He's a famous singer. You ever heard any of his music, it will get you moving. Just look at his personality, right?
Luis, not Lewis, but Luis. Excellent designer, y'all. Big companies out there, y'all connections. Y'all make sure y'all connect with him and check out some of his projects. And Balancing Codes, y'all make sure y'all support what she got going on. Always spreading positivity, and we love to see that here in the YouTube space, right? All right, with that being said, somebody fell off. Y'all make sure y'all support Penny too. Y'all make sure y'all support Penny, man. She has an interesting perspective. Love to see her on Thursdays, man. And let's keep family together. Let's do that. All right, all rise, everybody stand to their feet. I'm just messing with y'all. One day, right? One day. Great show, family. Great show. Yeah, I like it. Y'all
Right
make sure.
on. Right on.
Make sure y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. And hit the like button, and also make sure you subscribe to the channel. We out, family. We out. Just want to say thank you guys on the behalf of the Lapeef Network, man. I love each and every last one of you. As I just posted, I'm very grateful for all of you guys. Without you guys, we would not be where we are today. So salute to you. Salute to you for being the greatest supporters ever. Thank you. That like button, family. Just want to say thank you guys again. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you missed it, catch the replay. It was a great dialogue today. I want to thank the panel members that contributed today. Excellent show, y'all. That was the last track, family. Want to thank everybody again. Big Bad Boy, I see you. Appreciate you dropping them links. Shout out to all my green gang that's in the chat. Do me a favor, family. Hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Very important. Another banger. Y'all be safe out there. Happy Sunday as usual. And thank you again on the behalf